somebody who's been present at many of our previous events. Many of you will know him as a DJ, a producer, a remixer. But what many people may not be aware is the fascinating work that he has been doing with psychotherapy and also the use of sound.
His musical journey started from the classical halls as a percussionist to London underground raves. Bushwacka's journey has been extraordinary. A founding member of the Rat Pack and one half of Leo and Bushwacka, he shaped the UK's electronic music's landscape. But his ability to weave urban soundscapes into his music reminds us of the cacophony of city life. It's not just a noise, but it's a rich tapestry of sonic potential. So tonight, as I said earlier, we also like to give our guests the opportunity to do experiments. And that's what he's going to do today. So tonight, both musician and psychotherapists are going to come together, and Bushwacka, Matt, is going to present and invite you into a unique journey.
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew. Thanks a lot for the introduction, ADAH, and thanks Jimmy, first of all, for inviting me up here. I'm a little bit nervous, but that's a good thing. And I want to thank you, the audience, as well, for, first of all, participating in what we're about to do, and secondly, for giving me 5 minutes of your time. And if anybody does need to get up, use the toilet, or wants to go get a drink, better to do it now rather than during the experiment. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not going to tell you much about what we're doing other than being with the sound for 5 minutes. Just make a note of how your mood is now, how you feel now. That's all I'm asking you to do. And the disclaimer is that nobody has spontaneously combusted so far that I've tried this with. If you do feel like that might happen, it isn't going to. Don't worry. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just to keep your eyes closed. They're going to dim the lights and just be with this sound for 5 minutes. It's all about the intention that you have. You don't have to think of this as a piece of music. You don't have to think of this as something that's going to happen. Just be with the sound and see what comes up, and we'll talk about it afterwards. So thank you for listening, and if you just notice how you feel now and whether you want to do this now or during the interval, if you could share that data on the website that Jimmy shared with you, that would be fantastic. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about why I'm up here, why I'm sitting here, and why I've been invited here. You know, I've been into music since I was old enough to walk and talk, and it's something I'm very, very passionate about. You know, it's something that's been with me all my life in very many different formats, whether it was my parents listening to the Beatles and jazz music, taking me to jazz gigs, and me sitting on the floor, a little boy cross-legged in awe of the musicians, the drummers, or whether it was my journey for a while in classical music as a percussionist, the whole acid house scene, DJing and making music, right up to where I'm at now. And, you know, I feel very, very privileged to have been to so many different countries around the world and experienced so many different cities and so many different cultures and been able to share music in this way. And to be honest with you, I can communicate through music to a crowd of people this size, but sitting here and talking to a crowd this size is very out of my comfort zone. You know, I work in mental health now. I work as a psychotherapeutic counsellor with my company, Listen Up Therapy. And I have a lot of things that I would regard as mental health related issues that I've worked through or that I continue to work through as well. And I'm very transparent about those things. You know, I've worked through addiction. I haven't had a drink or anything like that for over 9 years. I suffer with depression sometimes. I have ADHD. I'm on the autistic spectrum somewhere, a little bit Asperger's-y. I can be taken as dismissive and not interested and offish, and a lot of this apparently has a diagnosis now, which has helped me a little bit to understand why things have been difficult. I have hearing loss. I have tinnitus. There's quite an extensive list, but one of the things that I've experienced is that sound frequency, vibration, has been able to help me and other people through all of those things, one way or another. I'm very sensitive to some sounds, a lot more than others, and sound is very subjective. Some sounds, some frequencies, some vibrations we're attracted to, we feel something positive from, and some we feel something negative from. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I can walk around a supermarket and there can be a particular frequency from all the industrial fridges, and I think, wow, I really like that sound, I want to sample it. And my enduring wife will back me up on this. We can go and sit down in a restaurant to order a meal, and I'll walk out of the restaurant before we've ordered because the clanking of the plates is so annoying, I can't handle it. So, sound is very subjective, but I've done some work through this with my experiences through some of those presenting issues in sound, and in 2015, I had an experience. I was, let's just say, coming out of my dark night of the soul and having a transformative experience into sobriety and a different way of life. And as well as becoming more and more curious about psychology and psychotherapy and why we are the way we are and what makes us do the things we do, I discovered meditating, but not just meditating alone, meditating using binaural beats, which somebody else introduced me to. And I had a really profound experience with this, and it stayed with me for a long time. In 2018, when my wife and I moved back to the UK, we started experimenting with biofeedback, using audio, using different sounds and frequencies and miking up parts of our bodies and feeding it back into ourselves and getting more and more curious about how we can understand what we're feeling through the signals that our body are emitting. In 2020, when COVID came along and lockdown came along, as well as doing a weekly video broadcast, playing records and dancing around the living room with my cat and dog and my wife on Facebook, I got really into listening to specific frequencies to see if I felt any different. It was, I suppose, a really long period of research where there was so much uncertainty in the world as to how things were going to pan out, especially in that first year in 2020. And I started to realize that certain frequencies were making me feel a certain way. And I started to work with this more and more, and it was really taking me into a very interesting place right now where there are so many different aspects to this. There are so many different reasons why some things that we hear, we feel good about, and some things that we hear don't really affect us at all. And this is really part of the work that I'm doing now. I'm venturing more into how we can use sound to impact our mental health in a positive way. Most of you, if not all of you, already know that going out and dancing and being together in that collective space to good music, or to music that you love, is very beneficial, very therapeutic. It can be a therapeutic experience, and music is medicine. There's been a lot of research done on this now about how that brings us together. I'm also, and I've been doing this for most of my adult life now with playing music to people. I get very passionate about how the music makes us feel. I guess my motto really is, how does it sound and how does it make me feel? I hug speakers in raves when the frequencies do a certain thing to me. When I'm organising a party and I'm working with a certain sound guy because I know he's amazing, and we're doing a sound check and I'm in the middle of the room and I hear what it feels like to really feel that vibration, I hug the speakers. People used to hug trees. I hug speakers. Don't judge me, But this is powerful stuff. And what we've just done tonight, I've deliberately not shared what it really is because it's a semi-scientific experiment. You know, I'm really into science, but part of science is, there's a belief at some level that if you can't measure it, it's not really there or it doesn't really exist. I kind of come from a bit more of a mixed viewpoint on that, and a little bit of a spiritual viewpoint as well, and thinking about the 4Ds, thinking about the way that communities, indigenous communities, tribes over the years have used rhythm, have used sound, have used frequency to evoke feelings, to create a sense of togetherness, to heal, is so powerful, and we're still doing that now. This is only really half the story. I'd love to share more with you about what this is about, so if anybody's interested and wants to get in touch, please drop me a line or drop me an email at some point in the future, and I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about where this is going. But I just want to say thank you so much for being with me on this tonight and for agreeing to sit here quietly, calmly, and just be with that sound. And I'm really looking forward to checking your feedback out. So thanks for listening.